Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Jimmy, a retired librarian turned homeschool mom. Yes, I'm in my pajamas. Yes, they're cat pajamas. If you're familiar with my channel, yeah, there's a cat in my lap, and we have four. So this is going to be one of my travel videos, which is the reason this is coming out on Wednesday. So we took a recent trip to San Diego. So this was a drive for us. We live in the Phoenix metro area, which is rather large, so it's a 6-hour drive. We actually stayed in Oceanside. So what I did with this, to do this vacation, is I ended up booking a Legoland vacation. So that came with a day pass to Legoland, a day pass to their aquarium, and the hotel. In this case, it was the not on-site hotel. So we stayed in a Best Western in Oceanside, which is north of Carlsbad, which is where Legoland actually is. So we did do Legoland. We also did the San Diego Safari Park, which is in, I believe, Escondido, California, which is inland and slightly south of where we were staying. And then we did the San Diego Zoo, which is in Breckenridge Park, which is downtown San Diego. So those were the three main things. We also did a little bit of Oceanside. So yeah, we stayed at this Best Western. We went to the beach in Oceanside, which is very interesting. For reference, I grew up in Hawaii, on the windward side of Oahu, to be specific. So I'm used to much narrower beaches. If you're, and most people would not be, unless you're local or have family or friends who live in that area, because Waikiki is huge, and I'm not familiar with Waikiki whatsoever. Other side of the island where I grew up. I think I was in Waikiki once or twice in my life, and I lived there till I was 14. We had other beaches. So we, specifically Lani Kai and Kailua Beach Park, which are much narrower, particularly Lani Kai, than California beaches. Not to mention the waters are warmer, and there's less seaweed. Luckily, it was cold enough so it wasn't smelling. We also did this, I'm filming this the 15th of March. We did this the first week of March, avoiding most of spring break. So for my homeschoolers out there, I specifically picked shoulder season. Now, I would have maybe gone in February, but we were doing a zoo program in February. So we did the first week of March, which is right before everybody else went on spring break. So Oceanside is a very nice little town. It's really right next to Fort Pendleton, which is, I believe, it's either an Army base or a Marine base. Catch me if I'm wrong. I'm not familiar with this. It's very, very big. It's very, very populous. So it's literally right next to, literally we stayed within probably walking distance of the Marine base, because I think it's a Marine base. Nonetheless, lots of military. It's a very cute little town. Had a pier that my daughter played on the playground by the beach. We collected things at a very, very large beach. Surfing wasn't bad. We actually went to, one of the main attractions there was, you have the surf museum, which is actually really interesting. If you're interested in surfing, I highly recommend it. My daughter was not interested. They have some waves stuff about different surf. They actually do have archives, but you have to make an appointment. So if you you have a kid who's really, really interested in surfing and the history of surfing, and there's something they're interested in seeing, they can probably make an appointment to talk with one of their archivists. So it is very interesting and up to date. It's a surf museum, but it was very, very interesting. And we walked around town a little bit. It was fun. I know there's whale watching tours there. We did not do any of that because, again, we left Sunday and we came back Friday. I do not recommend doing the Friday. We got stuck in rush hour traffic on our way home. Next time I would do something like this, I would leave on a Sunday and come back either on a Saturday or another Sunday. Or leave on a Saturday, come back again. Leave and come back on weekends to avoid massive rush hour traffic. Again, we were coming in from Phoenix. So now on to Legoland. Now, be advised, the Dino Land with which I think will probably have opened by the time you guys see this was still closed. So normally Legoland is a giant circle. It was not, because they had that area closed off and they weren't quite done with it. So this is done without that, obviously, because it wasn't there. So my daughter is not into building. So there's a lot of building stuff. We did this an entire day. It depends on your kid. Again, we did almost every single one of the rides, except for one of the very last in the movie land, because there was a massive line and it was getting very late. We got there at opening. One of the benefits of us doing the Legoland vacation thing was we got in like a half an hour early. So we did all of the rides. We ate lunch there, which I would never do again. I would bring my own food. So that is one of my other recommendations. If you're going to these parks, I recommend doing this at the zoos as well. Bring sandwiches or something. It's cheaper. It's healthier probably, and it's cheaper because you are likely to spend the entire day at all three of these parks. So, or at least up till lunchtime. We'll get to the safari park. But we did spend all day at Legoland. We got there half an hour before opening. You do have to pay $30 to park. That is another warning. If you are not staying at one of the Legoland on-site hotels, you do in fact have to pay $30 to park. But that is not $30 an hour. It's for the entire day. But it was fun. My daughter loved. We went on the roller coasters. I'm not a huge fan of the roller coasters, but she loved every minute of it. We did all the rides except for, again, that one last one, which had a massive line. For the real little kids, my daughter's at right now, she's a little over 4.5. So she was able to go on all the rides. We had to be with her on most of them. So there are some that are specific kiddie rides. Well, and we also learned my daughter cannot drive. Yes, they had the little go-karts, and this is the 3 to 5-year-olds. Yeah, no, my kid can't drive. It was very, very funny, but my kid can't drive. And then we did a boat thing where I ended up we ended up being turn around because you run the boat and go around these things. And somehow I got bumped and turned around. But it was fun. We also got wet. Now, they also have a water park there. Again, I have no experience. We went in the beginning of March. It was still pretty cold, at least for the Arizonans. It was in the 60s. So me and my husband I was wearing jeans and a jacket. So, but we had fun. We went on all the rides. We saw a bunch of stuff. We ate there, which was way too expensive. They have a big mini land where they did Vegas. They have San Francisco. They have San Diego. They have New York. I think those are the major places they have. We did a little boat ride because that's what my daughter wanted to do. A whole bunch of things built out of Lego. They have a lot of stops where they do a lot of building. So if your kid is really into that, you might want to do 2 days with this. My daughter is not. We did buy a Lego castle, Disney castle. My daughter's into Disney princesses. My husband built it. She had a temper tantrum a couple days ago and destroyed it, so it's been put in the bag until we remake it. But she doesn't have the patience for that or any at all. Rarely. Patience is not something my 4-year-old does. My 4-year-old has. We had some issues in the restaurants. It's like, when's the food coming? It's like, you're 4. Wait. But again, it took us most of the day to get through most of the park. And that's not counting the last land they had, that it's now this Dino Land. So even if your kid isn't into the building, I'm going to recommend like 2 days to do this. And that's not counting the Sea Life Aquarium thing. The Sea Life Aquarium thing takes about an hour. So that might be part of your 2 days. We did do that the first Monday. We did that later in the afternoon because my husband ended up having a hearing that took all day. That's the reason me and my daughter ended up on the beach on the Monday, which was fine. We had fun. She played on the playground. We got in the sand. Kept having to rinse off her eyes because she wasn't used to being in the sand because this is her first exposure to a beach. We live in Arizona, at least a saltwater beach. And the water was very, very cold because, again, we're like barely into spring. So it's very late winter. So it's still very, very cold. There were still a lot of surfers out there. The waves were, they were okay, depending on the day. So, but we did, it was fine. They have a touch pool. They have a lot of stuff. It's nothing compared to our Odyssey Aquarium, which is huge and very, very sticky. But we still love our aquarium. We were there this week. Though it will be last week by the time you see this. I'm filming this on the 15th. So you guys will see this on Wednesday. One of the rare videos where, yes, you're seeing me as close to live as you get, rather than in advance. So though I am behind on my videos and media stuff, but nonetheless. So Legoland was fun. Again, I'm going to recommend 2 days. If I was going to do it again, I would do 2 days. I don't know if we would do it again. It depends on my daughter. And it would be a while. Now on to our next stop, which was the safari park. Now, the safari park is a lot of space. There's a lot of walking. There's not a lot of animals. I think we got going in circles a couple of times, and then we got really overheated in the Savannah area, which you have to literally either go downstairs or go down an elevator. We had a stroller. We went down an elevator. So it's hard to see whether I recommend it. It really does depend. This is the park where they're really focusing on conservation. You do see a platypus. So if you really want to see a platypus, there's only one place in the United States you can see a platypus is at the San Diego Safari Park. They have they're very big on conservation. So you learn a lot about the condors. They have some gorillas there. I'm trying to think what else they have there. You can go on a little bus around their safari area where you can see giraffes and elephants in a really kind of large area, along with the lions are obviously kept separate, and you have the lions, and we did spot the tigers. They do have tigers there. They have kangaroos that you can walk around near. You just can't touch them. Trying to think what else they have. It's a lot of walking. It's a lot of park for not a lot of animal. So that's kind of what I'm going to say about that. I would not go back, personally. If you're really into the conservation and learning, you might want to check it out, but I personally don't recommend it. We would not go back. It's very beautiful. There's a lot of stuff. I love seeing the platypus. But again, there was not a lot of animal. Now moving on to our favorite part, which is the San Diego Zoo, which was phenomenal. There is lots of animals. We did, in connection with your ticket, you do get to go a free bus tour around the kind of park where they narrate things, which is very, very interesting. And we did that because it started to rain. So that's what we did when we first got there. And we got there when it opened. So, and we were there until like 4:30, and they close at 5. And I still feel like we didn't get to see everything. Yeah, we didn't, because some stuff was closed. But we saw, they have polar bears and koalas and gorillas and tigers and lions and various different bears. Lots and lots of birds. And they didn't even have their aviary open. They have a huge aviary that was closed at the time. They have a red panda. They should be getting a regular panda on loan from China in the next year. So we're hoping to go back with hopefully my sister and her family and maybe some more things. They do have hippos, but again, they were redoing their habitat at the time, so we didn't get to see that. We saw the dwarf hippos. Lots of lizards, lots of animals. They very much focus on conservation and breeding, which is kind of different from the Phoenix Zoo, which is our local zoo, which is much more of a rescue zoo. And why they do some breeding for local populations, like the ferrets, the black-footed ferret's a big thing that they do breeding for. You don't actually get to see those. And they do a few other animals, but they're local animals. So, and why the San Diego Zoo is more international. and they're doing conservation efforts for tigers and lions and condors, which are local, but the California condor is definitely local. But it's more of that type of zoo. It is not a connected to our Phoenix Zoo. I don't know why, because they seem to exchange animals. The Phoenix Zoo's New World porcupine is there for breeding. And when we were at the safari park, one of the staff did mention that some of the goats that, not our pet goats, not the petting goats, but the native Arizonan goats, I can't remember, were from ours transferred to them. So that was one thing I will say about the safari park, is there's a lot of volunteers around to give you information. And the San Diego Zoo is very similar. You have a lot of, there's a lot of volunteer staff, a lot of them elderly staff around the zoo. So, but San Diego Zoo is just ram-packed. We saw polar bears. They were still doing some construction. Again, we went in what amounts to be a shoulder season. So they were doing some construction, but it was really, really fun. There's lots of beautiful birds. There's lots of information. My daughter was obsessed with, is it endangered? No, it's not. It's not endangered. It's threatened. What is threatened? Made lots and lots of annoying questions. We love the questions, but she does a lot of the questions. She's very much into the questions these days, and had us reading things, which transferred to our recent visit to our own Phoenix Zoo, which even after seeing the San Diego Zoo, I still love our local zoo. I would still recommend, if you're coming to Phoenix, to go to the Phoenix Zoo, just as long as it's not in the off season. And by the off season, I mean late. You'd be lucky if you get to April, at the end of April. So, and doesn't start again until October, but that's the Phoenix Zoo. San Diego Zoo, you could probably stretch it further, but it does, be careful of the weather. Particularly the safari park. You're doing a lot of walking. The other thing about the San Diego Zoo itself is besides the tour bus, it has these little hopper buses, which they have 4 different spots that you can hop on, and they don't narrate, they just get you from one place to another. So, and we used that a couple of times to get to places. We got to see they have a big eagle walk. So there's lots of ups and downs. There's a lot of stairs or ramps, depending on whether you have a stroller. Sorry, yawning. Because it's 8:13 and kid. And cleaning. My mother-in-law had my daughter earlier today, and I was able to get some cleaning done at long last. Because again, we got back a week from Friday. So, and then we had stuff going on because my daughter's had spring break. So she goes back to preschool next week, couple more months, and then we're done with school and on to homeschooling. We'll get to that eventually. But nonetheless, San Diego Zoo, I absolutely love. The safari park and Legoland was really, really fun. Even for me, and I'm not a fan of theme parks. So, but again, Legoland, 2 days. I would even say San Diego Zoo, 2 days. I hope to get back to the San Diego area because there's a bunch of museums and stuff around the San Diego Zoo, and really do downtown San Diego rather than us staying up in Oceanside. But this time I booked a Legoland vacation because it was easier, and we were going to do Legoland and the safari park. So if we go back, we probably will not do Legoland or the safari park. I cannot comment on Legoland's water park. I'm not particularly fond of water parks in general. And again, this was March. So you would have to go during the summer to experience that. So that's really it. Possibly bring Dramamine if you have stomach issues. I hope to do San Diego again, maybe next spring. We will see. Hopefully I can do a vacation with my sister and her kids and have a different experience that way, and maybe do some of the museums, because there's a bunch of museums around there and kids focused stuff, and kind of do more downtown San Diego as opposed to where we were at. So that's really the end of this video. I will be continuing on working on the Boxcar Children and Anne of Green Gables and a whole bunch of other stuff that's incoming, and get those done. Those are my book reviews are on Monday. My film and media reviews are on Friday. Then I throw in these periodic Wednesday things. For my local, I will be talking about the Arizona Empowerment Scholarship soon. We will be starting that process with my daughter to start preparing for more homeschool stuff. And I will be talking about more homeschool stuff as the time go on, because we are moving into it specifically for kindergarten. And we will go from there. So thank you. And please subscribe and leave a positive comment if you have one. Thank you.